Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Expressive with Roland Drums. I'm Alex Simpson. I am the owner of Rupp Drums here in Denver, Colorado. And I'd like to start off tonight by thanking the wonderful folks at Roland for collaborating with me and making this event a reality. So thank you to Pat Kennedy, Mike McAndrew, Eric Holden, James Petercsak, and Gabe Rodriguez for putting this event together tonight. If you're tuning in and you're not already familiar with Rupp Drums, we are a 37-year-old independent drum store in Denver, Colorado. We carry every major brand, including Roland. We're actually a Roland premier dealer for our region with a wide selection of products in the store available to demo. And we have several Roland product experts on staff. The other thing you should know about us is that we hold events like this, live stream events, all the time. And so if you like what you see tonight, you want to tune in for more, just follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Tonight, Roland Product Manager Pat Kennedy will be showing us how to get the most expression and creativity out of several exciting Roland products, including the new TD27, the SPD-1 pads, and several other hybrid electronic instruments. And as we watch tonight, please keep in mind that you can feel free to post all of your questions and comments, and we will do our absolute best to answer those questions before the end of tonight's event. Lastly, I'd like to mention that everything that Pat's going to be demonstrating tonight is currently in stock and available to demo at Rupp Drums. For those of you in Denver or in the Colorado area, you can swing by the store and demo any of these fantastic instruments at any time. And for those of you out of state, simply call us or visit our website, www.ruppsdrums.com, to see a massive selection of Roland products. Everybody that works at Rupp's is a passionate, experienced drummer. They would be delighted to talk to you or chat with you on our website and answer any additional questions about the product. So please feel free to reach out. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Pat Kennedy and James Petercsak. Thanks again.
Hey guys. What's up, everybody? James, are you on too?
I am here.
Awesome. Alex, thank you so much for hosting us tonight. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. I am Pat Kennedy, and we're going to take the TD27 KV through all of its paces. So let's start off by playing them and hearing what these babies sound like. So here we go.
Awesome. Thank you, Pat. Great playing. Great playing, man.
That is fun.
That is fun.
Let me tell you guys, the title of this presentation, Get Expressive, really embodies exactly what this TD27 KV can do, right? I mean, all of the nuance of playing style can be heard, can be felt, and can be performed on this instrument. You play it just like you would your acoustic set, right? I mean, I am in my apartment here in California, streaming live with you all over the world, hopefully. And I'm not bothering anybody. My dog's laying in the next room. My wife's on a phone call. All good, right? You get that benefit that Roland expressiveness, the Roland feel, but you get the benefit of quiet playing too, right? I mean, it's just, it's incredible the things that we're able to do, and the sound quality that's hopefully coming through as you're watching this on whatever device you're using, right? And so it's because of V-Drums that we're able to do all this, right? It'd be challenging to do this on an acoustic drum set for sure. So,
and actually, you know what? I had some questions. Before we get into all that, do you mind going over your setup and basically what kind of pads you get, right? So
sure.
We all know it's a complete electronic kit, so it comes with you know, everything you need, but specifically every drummer has their own kind of setup. So what do you get when you get this thing out of the box?
Great questions. Great questions. I'm going to put my camera just on this overhead view so everybody can see what we're talking about, right? So with the TD27KV, two of the most important pads that is cutting edge technology right now is the digital snare drum. It's a 14-inch digital snare drum and this 18-inch digital ride cymbal. Now, the thing that makes them digital, they are connected to the module through a USB cable. So the amount of information that you're able to send to the module and it's able to process because of its lightning fast sound engine chip, BMC sound engine chip that's in there, right? You're able to process all of that nuance playing through that USB because you're able to send all that information at lightning speed, which is really, really great. And then the rest of the kit is outfitted with PDX 100 pads. So we have 3 of those for our toms. And of course, I made a setup here, my 1 up, my 2 down. I prefer that as a player. Of course, you can move it around. You can put this tom up here and you can have the 2 up, 1 down, whatever you want to do. And then we have our CY12C crash here and a CY13R as a second crash here, right? And then we have our VH10 hi-hats that are super expressive, play just like their acoustic counterparts do. And so they mount to an acoustic stand. And I'm actually using our Roland V-Drums hardware, our Roland branded hardware that has noise eater technology in it. So that means it's absorbing vibration, it's absorbing extra sounds because of the specially formulated feet and base plate that's on there. And so we're able to reduce all that extra noise, the mechanical type sound, right, that can sometimes happen with a hi-hat and with a kick drum pedal. And then the kick drum pedal is playing the KD10 kick trigger, which is very rock solid steel construction. It doesn't wobble, it doesn't wiggle, it doesn't creep forward. It stays where it's supposed to stay, which is awesome. And as a kick drum, you want that. You don't want your kick drum moving. We've all played those gigs where your drum starts to creep forward and disappear on you, and that's annoying. So this module is super robust, or sorry, this kick drum trigger is super robust and very, very sturdy. And then it all mounts to the MDS rack, an MDS standard rack, and very, very stable. Again, durable, built to last. And this is all sitting on a rug, everybody, that's about, I think it's a 4x5 rug. Okay, so it doesn't take up a ton of space, which is ideal for a drum kit, especially if you're in the home or in a home recording studio where space could be limited sometimes. So it's a great compact size. And then, of course, the whole drum kit is powered by the newly designed TD27 module that we have over here. This module also powers our V-Drums acoustic design series, which is the 506 and the 503, which will also be available at Rupp's shortly. So this module will power those kits as well, and they come with that. So hopefully I answered some of those questions. Thanks for sharing in that, James. Anything else?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point out that it's you know, if you go back to that overhead shot, it's, you know, this is your apartment, right?
Yep.
So it's not a massive space, but you know, you get everything you typically see in a 5-piece kit, and you have it set up in a 1 up 2 down configuration, but you can very easily put that, move the ride cymbal over and put a 2 up 1 down, standard configuration if you want to very easily. So yeah, the setup, I see a lot of drummers play kind of crazy setups, and it seems that the stand and everything is more than capable of putting things in just the right place while being rather compact. So.
Absolutely. And I'm going to switch back to this because one of the great features about the module itself is not only can we customize the sounds that are in it and things, and we're going to go into that and have a great time doing it, but you can expand your setup very easily with this module. So right now our Crash 2 is actually run into the Crash 2 on the back of the module, and then there are 3 more auxiliary inputs on the back of this module. So I could add 3 more pads or 3 more cymbals or another kick trigger if you wanted to. I mean, it really is limitless and up to your own imagination. So we could add another tom-tom, we could add another cymbal pad over here, we can add a BT1 somewhere if we wanted to. I mean, it really is just up to you, whatever you're looking for. And so that's one of the greatest things about this module, is the ability to go ahead and customize that setup to exactly your preferred liking, you know? Absolutely.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's get into some of the sounds, because those sounds were incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think one of the main features that drummers really love about kind of some of these kits are the ability to put in your own sounds. And that's one thing that the TD27 gives you the ability, just like the TD17 and the TD50. The sounds you can load in any sample you want, you know, just as long as it's a WAV sample, and you can not only put that into the module, but you can also layer it with some of the internal sounds. Maybe we can go over some of that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Before I do the layering part, though, I do want to just talk about the module itself is constructed in a very, very user-friendly way so that you can quickly identify what you want to change and then go ahead and do that change. So there's 4 knobs that are right on the front face of the module, and I'm going to go ahead and make that my main camera just for a second here. So we have an instrument knob and a level knob, a tuning knob, and a muffling knob. So I can edit each individual pad, the head and rim of each individual pad if I wanted to, quickly with those 4 parameters. So I could quickly assign an instrument using that knob. I can quickly make the volume of that particular pad louder or softer and adjust that. I can quickly tune it to whatever pitch I'm looking for. And I can quickly add or take away muffling, such as tape or donuts or different things like that. So all of that, you don't even have to dive into the menu whatsoever. It is right there, which is killer and super fun. So to James's point, let's go ahead and show what layering sounds like. So the kick drum right now has that sound to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and see it has instrument highlighted here. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter. So it tells you which kick drum that you're using. And so the sound sample here is wooden beater kick. So you get that super heavy attack, which gives it a real nice punch, you know, through the system. I need to adjust an audio setting real quick so you can really, really hear it. So let me turn it off for just a sec. Let's try that again. Super awesome, right? Now, what James was talking about was layering. And layering is super fun because that's where we can really customize. So if we layer, I'm going to go ahead and put myself up in here so you can see me while I'm talking. So if we go ahead and we want to layer, you see there's a little icon right here on the module called sub instrument. And there's tab buttons right under here. So I press that and it tells me if the sub instrument is on or off. And right now it is on. So I have a sub kick 1. So let's hear what it sounds like. That you already know what it sounds like because you have the layer on there already. I'm going to take the layer off and then I'm going to go back on, and I'm going to do that a couple of times so we get sort of a, you know, A sound, B sound kind of a situation. So here we go. I'm going to turn it off and back on. You can notice when it's on or off by that being highlighted sub on, or when it's unhighlighted, it obviously says off. So here we go. We'll start with it on. Off.
Yeah, sounds like a kick.
Yeah, man. And it was like that sub kick layer is that the real low end frequency, right? That's giving it that body and the breadth, like it's a hard word to say sometimes, breadth of the sound that we're looking for, right? That kind of that boom, that lowness, that, oh yeah, that's what we're going for. And that sub on, that layer just enhances that characteristic. And what's really super cool, we can move over here, and here is the volume of the sub layer. So I'm going to mess with this and bring that sub layer up in the mix, and you're really going to hear a difference.
It's a great way to add a little.
I brought that up to 6 dB, and it was like, oh my, there it is, right? So again, it's all about your taste, your customized preferences, whatever you want to do, the sound that you want to create, this module can make it happen, right? And with a few touches of a few buttons, you're able to completely change the characteristic tone of whatever your instrument you're doing, and you're able to dial it in for that style of music that you're trying to play. The other cool thing with the sub layer and the layering of 2 sounds is you can actually do that with your own samples and the samples that are on the module. So you can really customize your own samples with additional sounds of a layer of a preloaded sample, right? So you can even post edit your sound samples even after putting them into the module, which is really, really great. Really great.
Yeah, it sounded amazing. It was like a nice little low end thing that reminds me of John Bonham. He used to do that quite a bit in the studio. But you can change, any sound. I mean, there's over 700 sounds, so you can layer, a tambourine on the bass drum if you wanted to, or a low 808 sound if you wanted to. So it's really flexible. I did want to though touch on one thing you said previously. You said, the head and the rim can be different sounds, which is really kind of cool. It's a neat little trick to add extra elements or extra instruments, extra pads, if you will, to your setup really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I think is really cool is you can do that and basically layer 2 different sounds on the head and then layer 2 different sounds on the rim too. So you have all these different combinations you can go through quite quickly.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to show you, this is a kit that I kind of designed, and I added some non-drum sounds around the kit. But doing what James is talking about, where I've split the head and the rim assignment so that I can do multiple things and essentially double my sound sample palette on this kit, right? So here, check it out.
Yeah, very cool.
Try doing that on your acoustic drum kit.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, right? And so I think one of the great things, James, that this brings about for drummers is that extra expressiveness. Let's go back to the title of this presentation altogether. That extra expressiveness, that extra creativity, that now we can really interact with the rest of the musicians and come up with some really cool creative stuff that can either add to melody, add to chord progression structure, all sorts of stuff. You can get all these extra colors and expressive ideas because of the TD27KV. When we're playing acoustic drums, I love acoustic drums. Everyone does, but you're limited to what that cymbal or drum can produce. The sound, right? It gets you a couple of different sounds, but now it's just infinite. Really infinite what we can accomplish and what we can do with a TD27KV and Roland V-Drums.
Certainly opens up the creative palette for sure. And I always notice that I play different when that happens too, right? The sound samples are longer, right? A lot of times you have a really long tail. They're not drums that are for the most part, you hit them and they get out of the way relatively quickly. You have these long frequencies, and maybe you'll have a synth hit or something like that. So you kind of play differently, right?
Dude, yeah.
You totally, it really kind of it feels like playing, you know, drums, but the sounds make it feel just a little different. It's kind of a cool experience if you've never played electronic drum kit before.
That's a really great point, because in my mind, like you nailed on something. It fills the space.
Exactly.
Right. So every great drum instructor that we've all followed, taken lessons with, whatever, or even just musician, talking about jazz soloing or something like that. Everyone always talks about space and the use of space. And sometimes we as drummers have a challenging time with that. But with the V-Drums, it helps us feel that space a little bit better, because the samples are filling up what we are calling the space, right? So it removes our chops out of the situation and lets the sound take over, which is really, really cool, because then you can be very, very musical and expressive with these drums because of the way you're playing. It produces a different approach, not a technically different approach, right? We're still using the same technical skills that we use on a snare drum, timpani, or whatever, right? You're still using those skills in exactly the same way, but it's more of the musicality of it all that I feel that it really inspires a different level of playing altogether.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, just being able to play in more realistic genres, hip hop, you know, straight up rock, jazz, you know, that really takes effect when you have those exact sounds. You know, we try to do that on our acoustic kit, but V-Drums takes it to really the pristine level. I mean, we like to say bring the studio to the stage, and you know, vice versa even. So yeah, it really changes the way you play. It's really something to experience for sure. I mean, that's one thing to, you know, if you're near Rupp's, that's one thing to really kind of go in to the store, check out how it actually feels to sit down, not just, you know, the feel of the mesh heads, which obviously feel great, but just the sounds coming from either the headphones or, you know, whatever monitor is set up. That's one thing to really experience for sure.
Yeah. And we just can't say that enough. I mean, it's all about the experience. I mean, hopefully you're feeling and experiencing a great experience right now.
Yeah.
You know, just watching it and being inspired to do something. But, you know, get your hands on one, go to Rupp's, go hang out and sit down and play it, and just you're going to experience and in a guttural way all the stuff we're talking about, which is just, that to me is where the light bulb moment happens, right?
Absolutely.
And then you're just like, oh, this is what these guys were talking about the entire time. I get it now.
Well,
and
I mean,
one of the things I do want to show you and get kind of into the details here, part of what makes it so expressive, as I mentioned earlier, were the digital pads, right? So this digital snare drum, Roland is the only manufacturer of electronic drums that incorporates the digital technology. And so with the digital, you get seamless integration all the way across the head. I'm going to move to this overhead cam so you can really see. So not only is it a 14-inch snare drum, it's deep shelled like a acoustic snare drum is. And so the construction of the pad pushes against you like a real drum does, which is part of the greatness of it all. And, you know, the mass of the drum is giving you resistance. And what you're able to do with the digital pads as well is there's a static sensing technology in there too. So it knows when my hand is touching it, or more applicably to drums, when I'm trying to do a cross stick, right? So before, we used to have to go into the module, assign cross stick sounds, and you would have to put the stick like this and go like this. And you couldn't touch the head at the same time. Well, now we've taken that out of the equation, so you don't even have to think about it. And so you even heard there, I was able to do a cross stick and play the drum head at the same time. And it gives me the sounds. And when I play the snare drum, if I put my hand on it, right, it changes the characteristic tone of that drum too, which is super awesome. I mean, you can't do that with anything else. And so that feature of being able to do that, you're able again to just play as you would your acoustic drums, exactly the same on the V-drums. And then the similar with the digital ride. You can really hear the different nuance of a ride cymbal going from bell to edge all the way through, right? From bell to bow to edge. And so it's a seamless and that static electricity sensor also works on the ride cymbal. So when I'm put one finger on it, so you're still getting like you would if you were grabbing your ride cymbal and holding it, and that's what you're able to do, you know. And it's an amazing experience. And again, that's why we want you to get down to Rupp's and check it out, because the experience of it all is going to blow your mind.
Yeah, I love that. I also love just how that shaker sound that you're able to layer too on that particular instrument. You know, a lot of people you see are putting shakers on their acoustic cymbals, and electronic drums, you're still able to do that, albeit electronically. One thing, we have some questions from the Facebook group. Also, can we go into the edit menu and look at some of the things you could do with the ride and the snare drum, not just the layering, but maybe we talked about the muffling and just changing the size of the head. And
absolutely, that's awesome. Let me go to a really cool sounding, great acoustic kit. So we're going to start with kit number 1 that's on here, and so all the drums sound really, really great. So let's do the snare drum example here. So I will switch cams. So let me do this. My main cam here. While
you're doing that, I'll just say Travis McIntosh is also on the Facebook chat, and he's one of our V-drum specialist extraordinaires. So he knows a bunch of stuff. But if you have any questions that you'd like Pat to go over, just type it right into the chat, and he'll send me a message so we can get all those answered for you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, James. Yeah, Travis is the guru, so he's the guy, and he'll answer all your questions honestly and quickly. So as I said, I'm going to hit the snare drum and then dive into some of these edit menus, and I'm going to make then the screen my main screen here. So there we go. Now we can really see that. I'll put this in here so you can see that I'm playing in real time at the same time. So here's the sound of the snare drum, and then we're just going to mess with some stuff. That was just the tuning. And what I find most intriguing about that all is, as I went up or down in the tuning, it didn't just change the pitch of the drum, it changed the timbre of the drum. Right, James?
Yeah, like if you were to crank ahead on an acoustic snare drum, you wouldn't just be changing the pitch, you would kind of be changing the timbral aspects. You'd be choking it a little bit, and that's exactly what you got on that module. Interestingly enough, though, let's say you just wanted to change the pitch, but you wanted to keep that timbre the same, you can dial it in with the TD27. So you have that both those options. Really, it's quite amazing that you're able to do both.
Yeah, and the power of technology and the power of V-drum. I'm going to bring it back to 0. It's kind of cool. As I just did that, it reminded me that you can kind of do that, you know, the drop of the beat thing where there's pitch. So you could actually really do it in real time if you want to go and get super creative with it. Let me show you another one. So the muffling aspect, right? So here we have different choices. We have tape,
And again, it changes not just the sustain, but the timbre. When you put that donut on, it's like a fatter type sound. But
Yeah.
if you want to just take the sustain out, well, there's also a setting where you can just take the sustain out. So this way, these little, there's these 4 main knobs that you can see to get to the quick access to what drummers are used to, like the tuning and the muffling and just changing the instruments. Those are for those really quick edits. But let's say you wanted to just change to the sustain, you can also dial in that as well. So you have those options to really customize your sound.
Absolutely. And then of course you could also change the characteristic of the sample, the one drum, right? So there's different things we can change here. So I'll go back in, edit. So I can do my tuning right here as well. I can do that in here as well. Let me hit the edit tab. Now I can change the depth of the drum if I wanted to. There. Did anybody ever play a 30-inch deep snare drum?
Only in my dreams.
So now you can create a field drum type vibe, right? Or whatever. You would never be able to play a 30-inch deep snare drum. Let's face it, because this is higher. That would be higher than where this is, right? I mean, a 30-inch snare drum would be like here, and it would not play very well. I physically would be awkward for me to do that, right? And you can't even make a snare drum stand go that low.
Probably hard to gig with too.
Yeah, it would be hard to gig with. Yeah, you'd look like you'd kind of look ridiculous schlepping that into a club, a 30-inch deep snare drum, right? So, but again, it's all about the customization, and just it takes the usual parameters and the usual limitations of what acoustic drums just are, and it totally takes those lines and erases them. So all lines of what used to be possible or not possible are gone. And now you can really just let your creativity and your expressiveness shine through by using the TD27 as your tool to get that and to achieve that goal. Yep. Beautiful.
Just want to point out real quick too that Pat is using a computer and he has it next to him, but all the sounds are totally coming from the module itself. We're just using the computer to just stream to Facebook. Just wanted to make that clear. I know there might have been something in the Facebook chat. Pat, Travis just wanted me to clarify that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just so you're aware, full disclosure, everybody, this unit here that I keep turning and touching, this is the video switcher that's changing the camera angles and stuff. So that's all this is doing, is streaming the camera and the audio. So I've run the audio from the back of the module into my video switcher. And so it's taking everything and making it here. And then the USB cable from the switcher is running into my computer just so I can stream it. So this is what's providing me the internet access to give you this presentation and to give you the audio and the video together combined. So it's very, very cool. Also a Roland product that we make, right? This is the VR4 HD. It's a super hip, great little streaming device. So any of you guys that are out there that are YouTubers, or you're trying to create more streaming type content, different things, we make a variety of video switchers for that purpose, and they work awesome with our drums. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Because you can dial in, like, you can EQ the levels before it even sends out there. So if anything's going to be peaking or whatever, we take care of that at the beginning, so it doesn't happen on the stream. And so again, you're your own producer at that point. Not just musically, but now the whole package, right? So that's really cool.
Also, I mean, this is a good transition to talk about some of the recording features. Obviously, a lot of people are not playing out just yet, but that means we have a lot of customers that are collaborating together from all over the world. And one way to do that is just to record and throw a bunch of tracks onto a DAW and to then send them out to your guitar player or your bass player and whatnot. Let's talk about some of the cool ways you can use the TD27 to record and to collaborate easily with. And this is a big one for me personally, because recording drums, especially in an apartment or, well, it really depends on the room sound. And most people probably don't have the best sounding rooms as homes. So this is a great way to record. So how about let's talk about that for a little, Pat.
Absolutely. So one of the great features of this module is it has Bluetooth inside the module. So we can go into our system settings. Hopefully you'll see that on the screen right there. And it literally is its own icon, its own Bluetooth system. And so you would highlight that and then connect it to whatever device you want to use. You could use your iPhone or Android or a tablet of some kind, whatever you wanted to do. Anything Bluetooth connected can connect to this. And what's great about the Bluetooth, you can record audio and then you can stream it, of course. So you're streaming the Bluetooth audio. So maybe a band member shares a guitar track with you. You can stream that audio through Bluetooth and then record the drums over top of it, save it, and you recorded your drums with that Bluetooth file, and then you can share it right back to that person. So if you're in the whole writing process, collaboration mode, right? Let's use Dropbox as the example. As a file share, you can send the Dropbox file over, you stream it via Bluetooth, you re-record it, you save it as a new file, and you send it right back. Awesome, right? So this is about the next level of expressiveness, which in my mind is connectivity, right? You want to connect. Music is what brings us together, and we want that right now more than ever. We want to be connected, and so this allows us to do that. One of the other cool things that James mentioned, is DAW software, and so there's a USB port on the side. I know you can't see it just because of my camera limitation, but there's a USB port on the side, and so you would run that into your computer. No MIDI interface is needed whatsoever. And so you would plug that straight with one cable into your laptop or your workstation, whatever you're using with your software on it. And it will provide you with 28 separate audio tracks and MIDI information at the same time in your DAW. Why is that great? James, why would that be great?
Yeah, so that's a lot of different tracks that you can send simultaneously over one USB cable. So like Pat said, you hook up your computer, you just throw in the USB cable to your computer, you open up your DAW, and from there you can select in your session 28 different tracks. And there's obviously not 28 different drums and cymbals that he has, but the cool thing you can do is you can send your, like we mentioned, how you can separate the head and the rim sounds. You can actually send the head and the rim sounds to different tracks, so you can have complete customized or complete flexibility over the mix and post-production. Also, we have a bunch of ambience features like room sounds, overhead sounds, positioning sounds, which totally change the characteristic of the entire kit. And those can be sent via their own separate tracks to your DAW. So you can have complete control in post over things that you probably never would if you were using, just overheads, right? You can't just isolate those tracks very well and have that kind of control in post-production. So you have 28 separate tracks that you can send head, rim, overheads to, room ambience to, reverb and such to. So it's really, really an incredibly powerful and expressive way to record. It's really quite amazing, and to get that kind of flexibility, it is really unheard of in acoustic drums. So that's really taking it to the next level with V-Drums for sure. And now I see you have the overhead section turned on. So yeah, let's get into that for a little bit.
Yeah, so you brought up a great point with the ambient technology that's in here. And essentially when we say that, what we're doing is we are able to place this drum kit into virtual environments of different sizes, different textures, different wall coverings, whatever you want. And so you can do that in the room setting and then the overhead mic setting too. So for example, if I'll play this kit that I have up here, and I'm going to turn the overheads on and off. So it's going to be sort of that A/B comparison like we did with the layering thing too. So let's check this out real quick. So the overheads right now are on, as you can see here, it's highlighted, right? So let's give this a whirl. So just like an overhead would do, like you're getting then the whole drum kit then mixed in on top of the individual drum pads, which is what overhead mics are for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's all about that characteristic tone. Let's find a different kit, because this one shows some really cool stuff too. And so let me go back into the kit edit. Let me go over here and let me show you what the room does. So I've highlighted the room, and we can enter here. And here's the different options of room you have, right? You have a small studio 2, small studio 3, so on and so forth. You got large rooms, live house, stages, halls, so larger concert hall type sounds. So we can really take this into many, many environments. So this kit is entitled Compact, right? So it's supposed to be really tight sing. So I'm going to go change the room that we're in. Let's go super drastic. Let's go into a hall.
Yeah, very cool.
Stage. Right, so that one kit can now, again, the possibilities are just limitless, right? And that's what I love about the V-Drums. And I'm still excited after being involved with V-Drums for so many years. I still find new stuff to get excited over, right? It's like when you first discover drums and you have that just passion and drive, and your creativity's flowing, and you're discovering new things, and you're teaching your body how to do stuff. Now, in addition to all that cool stuff, we have all of this stuff. And now again, you're becoming more of a music producer, right? To give that expressiveness an outlet, to give that creativity an outlet. And this helps pull some of that creativity and expressiveness out of you as a player, which is something that's really hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, and actually, another transition that we can go into is the flexibility for when people are back on the stage. I know people are buying V-Drums, especially for houses of worship. There's a really, really tricky acoustic environment in a lot of houses of worship, just because it's not really designed for acoustic drums. Let's be honest, and a lot of times. Music ministers are trying to really isolate those by building all these cages and whatnot. One thing that the TD27 gives is the flexibility to send your kick, snare on separate channels. So on the back, I can probably bring up a screen, but on the back we have the two main outs, but we can go in and separate and send different instruments individually to 4 different outputs. So if you want to send your kick, snare, toms, and cymbals all on separate tracks to your front of house engineer, they can have control over the mix as well. So it's quite flexible, not just for the studio, but when you want to play these out, you can have that flexibility too.
Yeah, it's set up for a small, we call it a small gig situation, where let's all think of this. Let's all envision ourselves out. We're going back to playing a gig. Hallelujah. And we're playing a gig. And the sound engineer mics up your kick, they mic up your snare, and then they throw a couple of overheads on, and then they walk away. I mean, James, I don't know about you. I lost count of how many gigs that I've played where that was the microphone setup, right? That was the sound, that was the front of house setup. Yep. And it was a kick mic, a snare mic, 2 overheads, bada bing. So the module does that. So you can run the kick out of direct 1, the snare out of direct out number 2, and then the masters right and left. Those could be the toms and the cymbal arrays, just like you would do for a live gig. Yeah. And then again, with the level knob right here on the module. Oh, there's a great visual, James. Thanks. Yep, you see it right there. The master right, left, out, and then the direct 1 and 2. And so all of those are assignable. And then the really cool thing about that is you can still mix it. Like I can adjust the tom levels by hitting the tom pad, either bringing up or down the level on my module knob right here, right? So you can essentially pre-mix it before you even send it to the front of house, and then it's just their job. They can have isolation of the kick and the snare and then bring everything else up collectively together. It's great. And as James pointed out, it's fantastic for house of worship, because we don't want to sit behind the aquarium thing. You know, you don't have to buy a bunch of microphones to sound good. You just run this out, and particularly now, as we're demonstrating here with streaming, well, that's part of worship now. Like, everyone's streaming their worship services. So this is the ideal tool for streaming worship. So you get no peaking, distorted drum sounds, right? You just easily can go zip, 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 and there it is. Absolutely. You get pristine quality, professional level production value out of your streams every single time. And then the other really cool thing about worship, I'm sure many of you know this, but when you know, like Hillsong, for example, is a very popular place for people to get songs and sheet music and stuff. But when you purchase those, they usually send you the stem files of tracks, right? So you could literally take the stems of the drum samples from the record, save each one, load it into the module, build a drum kit out of it. And so then you literally are playing the Hillsong sounds out of your drums right there. So you not only are, you know, doing your best to play musically to the track and to the song, but you're going to sound just like it, which is super cool. And you can do that with your own drum kit. You could sample your own whatever brand drum kit you own. Get a great sound sample of each, a WAV file of each, load it into your module, and you can take and set your drum kit into this module and have a blast recording your band's record, thinking that you were playing your acoustic kit, but you're playing your acoustic kit through the TD-27. Amazing.
Very cool.
Amazing. The one thing I wanted to show you guys too with this is this kit particularly is really fun, this compact kit, because what we've done is we've assigned a hi-hat over here. And so we've made this one tom pad into a hi-hat, but it's also attached to my hi-hat pedal opening and closing. So the hi-hat controller also reads this. So then I can do some really fun stuff like super fun. Super fun. And again, it inspires expressive creativity. I mean, I can't say that enough, everybody. A couple other things I want to touch on, and James, let me know if there's going to be a question that pops up that we're all commonly seeing. One of the things I want to point out, other stuff that I'm using, and I'll show you an example here, you know, at the very end. But right off to the side over here, I have a SPD-1 WAV Pad. And so it's this red pad right here. And what this pad does is it allows me to put tracks on it, essentially. So the way I like to use it is I like to put my drumless play along tracks onto this pad, and then I can trigger them from here. This is run into the mix in of the TD-27 module. So I'm literally able to control my tracks and everything right from here before I even send it over here to stream it to you guys, right? Which is really great. And so the SPD-1 WAV Pad is a very, very cool functional product. It's part of a series of products. We have 4 different SPD-1 pads. There's a percussion pad, a kick pad, and also an electro pad. And those 3 that I just mentioned come preloaded with a bunch of samples already on it, and you can load your own sample onto those too. But the WAV Pad comes completely blank, and so it's designed for you to load your tracks or samples or whatever you want onto this pad. Those are all still available at Rupp's. They have a great array and assortment of those. You can go try those out. The SPD-1 WAV Pad, everybody, it's very, I call it like a baby SPD-SX, right? And so hopefully you're familiar with that. The SPD-SX is the industry standard sampling pad. I mean, you see any live performances ever, chances are you're probably seeing a sampling pad on there, because guys, playing with a hybrid setup is now more important than ever. To make yourself more marketable as musicians, you have to know how to do this. And so, you know, if you get a phone call from Beyonce one day, hey, can you play this gig? Sure, yeah, I'm available. Yeah, sign me up. Cool, but I need you to bring, I'm going to send you some samples of what I want you to use for kick and snare sounds on the gig. And you're like, what? Oh, no. And so you start freaking out. But you know, if you start investing now, getting involved in some of this stuff, even just, you know, starting here with the SPD-1 WAV Pad, you can start to figure out how to do these things. And then again, like I just said, you become more marketable as a musician. And then James, what's going on right now with our SPD-SX?
Just, you know, we have a great promo for that time when Beyonce calls you. She calls me all the time. I don't know about you, Pat, but it is a national promo that we're doing for the SPD-SX, where you buy an SPD-SX and get a free PDS-10 double brace stand to go along with it. It is, you know, super sturdy, very, very durable stand. It's a $199 value, and we're doing that as a promo through the end of September 8th. So it's going on right now. If you want to pick one up at Rupp's, they have them in stock, and you'll get the free stand to go along with it.
Great news, guys. It's a super value, and now is the time to do this and to you know, pull the trigger on that and figure out so you're ready for that Beyonce call. I won't be available, so the gig is yours, right? Anyway, guys, I think we're getting towards the end. Yeah, I think if there are any last questions that you want me to address, I'm going to go ahead and play one more tune for you. What do you see, James? Anything urgent?
Not yet, but maybe we can get Alex back on just so he can say goodnight to the customers and everything. We want to also extend our gratitude to not only Alex, but everyone at Rupp's. We are super thankful for having them, you know, letting us take over their Facebook feed for a short while to play some drums. And so we just want to give them, you know, all the thanks in the world.
Absolutely. I 100% echo everything you just said. So yeah, Alex, welcome back, bud.
Yeah, thank you very much. We do try as often as possible to offer value to our customers beyond just selling drums. We try to host events like this and have, you know, programming like this so that people can really understand what it is that they're getting themselves into and get their questions answered. So I'm very, very grateful that you guys put on something like this that's such a, you know, high quality level for my customers and for everybody tuning in. So thank you very much. And again, thank you to everybody tuning in tonight. Everything that Pat was demonstrating and more is in stock at Rupp's. And again, if you're in the Denver area, it's set up in the store. You can plug in some headphones and go to town and get your questions answered. So give us a call. And thanks again.
All right. Awesome.
Absolutely. Everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to play one more track with you. Thanks, James, for hanging with us. Thank you to Travis that's in the chat answering your questions. And again, one more time, a big shout out to Alex at Rupp's Drums. I also want to just wave hello to the Denver Drum Society. You know, had a great pleasure hanging with you guys about a year ago. And so hopefully we'll get to see each other again real soon. One distinct advantage here right now that I can show off the feature is my dog has entered the room, and you can see him over in the picture-in-picture corner, right there. He is, my beautiful chocolate lab. He just turned 13. So he is going to sit here and supervise my playing, but that ultra quietness that I was talking about, there's no way he'd be hanging in here. So once again, thanks, Rupp's. Thank you all for checking this out. Go find one for yourself down at Rupp's and sit down and have a good old time. And here we go, everybody. Thanks again.